There are some analysis says that Osama bin Laden was killed a few years back.
No, he was not killed. He died a natural death. That's what my information is, and there are several stories going around. Besides, in any case, Osama, even if he was alive, he was a living dead, because he had become irrelevant to the operations of Al-Qaeda. Because if he was hiding in such a place, let's say, assume that this story is right, then how effective could he be? Now this chap has been resurrected. In fact, they have shot themselves in the foot. I have said so. The reason is that somebody who was ineffective, who was non-operative, and he was in any case fading from the memory, he will become the legend that they wanted to be killed. But now that legend will live. You have to understand the arrogance of a Western superpower. Russians were not so arrogant when they had empire of their own. But this empire is very, very arrogant. Americans are, because they are a young nation, still very young, and too much power has been dumped in their lap. So the Americans do not wish to appear to have lost the war. They want to create symbolic. You see, it was a symbol. Twin Tower attack was a symbol. Although there was no excuse for going to war on this account, at best it was a criminal act, a ghastly criminal act, whoever did that. So this was no excuse to launch a world war like that. It was a very big war which they started. So they started this excuse. Now they have to end the war, and they want to look as if they are victorious. They want to make their people, American people are very innocent people. They want to make them believe that, look, we have come out victorious. We have not lost, because they can't forget the defeat in Vietnam. That exposed them, their power and their might was exposed fully. But here they don't want to repeat the story of Vietnam. They want to say, okay, this was the mission, we were hunting for Osama, and now we have killed him, and therefore rest in peace. At this moment, there is a tussle going on in America, a debate going on. Those people who are of President Obama's mindset, that look, now there is no point in carrying on, because this was, and I know some Americans have started already saying, why should we now stay in Afghanistan? There is no excuse. But there are others who say, no, there is an unfinished agenda, and that is Pakistan. So poor Obama has caught in the vortex of these two different opinions, competing opinions.
Now, let's discuss the scenario after disappearance of Osama bin Laden from the scene, regional scenes or international scene. Now, people say that if you chop the head, the body would die. And you agree with this? And do you think after this, they will fuel more attacks in the regions, the terrorism will be doubled, multiplied, the attacks in the region?
As far as Al-Qaeda movement is concerned, it had already been bypassed, because the Arab Spring or the Arab uprising now actually bypasses the philosophy of Al-Qaeda, that violence is the mean to achieve goals. They are looking more towards the Turkish model, that how Islamization of a country can take place and its governance through the system of election and through democracy. Although it is not still tested and tried, I think it will take quite a while before it actually becomes operative and effective. But the fact is that the Arab youth are more enamored and they are more impressed by the performance of Turkey in this fashion. So Ikhwanul Muslimun and other organizations, Islamic organizations, who are appealing to the Arab youth, because they are now enlightened, that peaceful uprisings can also bring good results. So as far as Osama's philosophy of violence was concerned, I think this had become quite irrelevant. But now they've started something else in Libya. And they are also using the armies of Egypt and other places so that these people do not meet their objectives. Their aspirations are not met. So two things will happen. Number one, in Libya, who are these people who they are supporting? Who are the Libyan rebels, as they're called? You know, Al-Qaeda was against Gaddafi. And these people are the ones who were fighting in Iraq. Now they have gone and they are fighting against Gaddafi's government. So is it not a paradox that they are supporting the Al-Qaeda now in Libya? And we know that Al-Qaeda had already been franchised. There is an organization, a chapter of Al-Qaeda, which is known Al-Qaeda Islamic al-Maghrib. So that organization is becoming now more powerful. There are already stories that they are acquiring weapons, they are plundering the arsenals of Libya and other countries, and so they will slowly, gradually become a powerful entity. What they do is a different matter. But on the other hand, this Arab Spring, the sentiments and the aspirations, if they are frustrated, where will they go? What philosophy will they adopt then? Right now, they have been promised, we'll give you liberties, we'll give you democracy, the dictators will be removed. But instead of the dictators, if now the armies try to call shots from behind, the frustration will still remain. And it will not be long before they start turning again towards the philosophy of Al-Qaeda. So it's not Osama is now a symbol of resistance. I don't think he did much. I don't think he carried out 9/11. But the point is that he became a symbol of resistance. That symbol had died out, more or less. It had faded into history. But they have themselves brought it alive. And eventually, I think there may be, if the Americans don't go away easily, because much is at stake for them in shape of the oil wealth and the control of Middle East as well as protection to Israel. Unless now Americans change their style and give genuine democracy. But then they fear that if we give genuine democracies, then from Morocco to Mindanao, south of Philippines, all democracies will be anti-America. Let's say this Arab Spring is frustrated because they are not given the genuine democracies. What next? That is where I think Al-Qaeda will become relevant once again. But as I said, Al-Qaeda is in Yemen, Al-Qaeda is in Somalia, Al-Qaeda is in the Maghreb, and they are spreading out into Africa. So Al-Qaeda basically has gone out of this area, but their remnants in shape of Pakistani Taliban may still be operative, which will bring suffering to Pakistan.
There are talk that international troops are preparing their packing up and leaving Afghanistan. In your opinion, if they leave, what would be the options after their departure? And do you think that a civil war-like situations will erupt in Afghanistan if they leave?
I don't think so. At that time when the Soviets left, then they were, Afghan Mujahideen factions were left on their own. They were abandoned virtually by Pakistan also, and they were abandoned by America, willy-nilly. They just walked away from the scene. But this time, Taliban are the only symbol of resistance. At that time, there were 7 or 8, one sitting in Iran. Hizb Wahadat was also resistance, part of resistance. But this time, it's a different story. It is only one entity. I mean, symbolically, although there are lots of groups, the tribes and lots of Hikmatyar's people, various others. Hikmatyar is not in the fight itself. Many of his people are sitting and they are part of the government in Kabul. So this time there is only one power, and this is fortunate for Afghanistan, because whatever transpires then, it will be it will not be power struggle between various factions which can start a civil war. But surely Taliban must have learnt their lesson, and those Mujahideen who are with them, because it has to be decided now, the issue of who governs Afghanistan and in what fashion. Because this is a state of war, but after the state of war, will they be able to win peace? That's a big question, because winning war is one thing and winning peace is even more difficult. So I think they do realize, and it has to be a Milli solution. I mean, Afghan Millat, Afghan nation, national solution. It has to be a national solution. I hope there will be enough wisdom, and I'm sure there is enough wisdom, because at least one thing I can say, that Mullah Omar, who is the head of the movement, of resistance movement, which is a nationalistic movement now, the whole nation is involved in it, he is not an ambitious man. He doesn't want power for its own sake. You see, he is not that kind of a man. Otherwise, he would not have abandoned. He had the power. The Americans were offering him billions of dollars, but he rejected this. So he is not in that sense. He is puritanic, and he has other ambition with regard to the enforcement of Sharia. That is where the crunch will come, because the Americans and the West would not want the Sharia as an alternative socio-monetary system, because this is what they are fighting there in Afghanistan. that a new system must not emerge, a new fiscal system, a new monetary system, a new system of equality which Islam espouses. They are basically fighting the system. So really speaking, if a farm solution is to be found, you have to engage Mullah Umar and his colleagues, that means Taliban, those who are resisting, because one side it was a conflict, one side was America and its allies, the other side is Taliban and the other factions who were fighting under their banner. Now this has to be settled between two. That's what I have always said, that the two O's must connect today. One O is Obama, the other is Umar. These two O's must connect to find the solution to one problem. If you think that Karzai can do the job, that is not possible. There are two clear choices today for America, historically speaking. Either to expand the war and come into Pakistan, open other front. It's not going to be a joke. It can trigger the Third World War, and I'm warning you. I'm warning everyone that it can trigger Third World War. I don't want to go into details of it, but Pakistan can do things in desperation which they can't even imagine. Second, that they decide to go out. And I think my own assessment is they will decide to go out. And in that case, they will need Pakistan, and before long, because Pakistan wants them to go out, this is our now overall number one objective. The Americans must go out. And if their objective is also the same, that they have to go out, then we must give them a graceful exit, precisely as we gave graceful exit to Soviet Union when they decided to pull out.
Thank you very much for being with us.